Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/AmITheDevil for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the posts, giving you my own opinion, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Cross-posted to r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for helping my daughter-in-law clean her studio space? I'm new to this site, so I hope you guys will go easy on me here. I'm in a situation where I'm not certain if I'm right, but I do know that my heart was in the right place. I'm living with my son and his wife temporarily to help them around the house. They have young kids and work long hours, so they let things fall by the wayside. You may see a sink full of dishes or laundry piled up, but it's never too bad. One room in their home has always been exceptionally messy. My daughter-in-law's art studio/office space. It is a tiny room in the back of their house. I wish I could post a picture of it. Paint everywhere, floor to ceiling. She used to have these beautiful colored walls, but now there's just paint everywhere. She has brushes and dirty paint water everywhere. She has paintings in various stages hanging all over the place. Her art supplies are just in different piles all over the room. She has giant piles of books that are often strewn about. The floor is dusted with pencil shavings, crayon wrappers, etc. It is nerve-wracking. She even allows the kids to draw on the walls in this room. They do big canvas projects on the floors. She allows them to paint with dangerous oil paints. I have always wanted to tackle that room and organize it so that it's a pleasant place for her and the kids to be in. So I did. I organized all of the art supplies, swept the floors, got some of the kids' scribbles off the walls, organized the books into categories and neat piles, etc. It took me nearly 4 hours, but I was happy with it. I even ordered non-toxic paint and some regular crayons for the children. Evening comes around, and I'm excited to show her the room. She will be off work for a couple of days, so I'm thinking she will really have a great time enjoying it. She gets home, and when she saw her office, she was actually angry. She started yelling, "What did you do?" and complaining about me cleaning the place. I told her she needed to calm down. The room was filthy. She proceeded to scream obscenities at me and walk away from me, telling me not to touch her shit. I'm watching her children and picking up after them free of charge. I do not deserve to be talked to that way. I posted to Facebook with a before and after of the room. Won't post here for privacy. I just wanted to let out my feelings on the situation and get some consolation from my friends. She ended up going on a rant in the comments and started up an argument and a lot of drama. I was surprised to see that some of my friends were actually on her side, even when I mentioned that the children were playing around in that filth. I would like more perspective on the situation, so I'm asking here if I'm an asshole for cleaning up the room. So I have 2 questions. The first one is, did your daughter-in-law properly teach her children how to handle oil paints so that way they wouldn't be harmed by their toxic nature? Also, I use oil paints for miniature painting. I use them specifically to fill in recesses because they bind very nicely to crevices. And oil paints nowadays are kind of a 50-50 of whether it's toxic or not, depending on the pigments they use. The real problem is the solvent. But still, as long as the mother is teaching her kids how to properly use oil paints, then that's fine, and I would assume, her being an artist, she more than likely is. Actually, real quick, as a super quick little insert here, the daughter-in-law and son are both doctors, medicine doctors. That's why they work long hours. So I would very much assume that the daughter-in-law knows more than me and knows what she's doing. The second question that I have is in regards to, while you were cleaning the studio out for 4 hours and the parents were working long hours, what were the kids up to? You made it very clear that you're watching the children and picking up after them free of charge. So, were they at school? What was going on during this point in time? Just kind of asking that question because I feel like that's some important information on what were they doing while you were spending 4 hours cleaning up your daughter-in-law's art room/office. Now, after those questions, I gotta say, you just callously referring to, the group art projects that your daughter-in-law and their kids would work on together, the big canvases, as the children scribbles? That's kind of fucked up, dog. You went in there and you painted over the kids' artwork. I also have a hard time buying the whole, oh, my heart was in the right place, I just wanted to do a good thing. So then, why didn't you go and tackle the laundry or the dishes, which you mentioned were piling up and always a problem? Why did you single out and target the daughter's art room and office space? You went into someone's office/studio, messed it up, reorganized their shit, covered up some of their artwork, and you're taking the high road of, well, I watch the kids for free, so you can't yell at me. You reorganized the art space because you think you know better. That's what it boils down to. You're living in someone's home, I'm guessing probably for free, and you went into their space and reorganized it without asking. And you're mad that they're not happy with the results. And now you're seeking out validation on Facebook. And when that didn't work, now you're on Reddit, which, honestly, gonna be 100% honest here as someone who does this for a living, you had better odds on Facebook. Reddit does not take kindly to mother-in-laws. Cross-posted from r/relationship advice. How do I get my, 31 male, brother, 22 male, to help me out? Right now I'm in a very difficult situation. Next week my rent is due and I have no money. Now, I did mess up and try to use it on my parlay last Sunday. That's gambling. Which was dumb, and I hold myself accountable on that. Still, my brother and I didn't grow up in a stable household, but he did the cheat code and went into the military at 18. So he doesn't understand why I don't have the same finances he does, but you chose the cheat code. Normally, he will at least give me something to help me out a bit, but this time he said no. He said he doesn't have the money, but him and his girlfriend going to Europe for her birthday in a couple weeks, LMAO. If I was in the same position and my brother didn't have enough money for rent, I wouldn't be going on vacation. I would be helping him out. Just so selfish. And I've been trying to be nice, but rent is coming up and I need some help. So, let me just kind of get this straight. This isn't the first time you're asking your brother for help. You're not in a financial strife, like your bills are usually covered on a regular basis. The only reason they're not is because you put your entire rent on a parlay. And you lost it. And you're claiming to hold accountability, but then in the next paragraph you turn around and you're bitching that your brother won't help you. Again. And additionally, you're saying that he used a cheat code when he went into the military. And it also sounds like you're mad that he's not canceling his trip to Europe to pay for your rent after you gambled your rent away, and you're calling him selfish. See, personally, I find it selfish if someone were to gamble their rent away, then expect their family member to cancel their plans for their significant other's birthday, and then use that money from those canceled plans to pay my rent because I made the mistake of gambling my rent away. I would find that to be really selfish. Then, of course, the cherry on top to consider that someone going into the military is a quote-unquote cheat code. Now, the OP for this post has 3 glorious comments, starting with, "It's one thing if he really didn't have the money, but he's lying. Obviously, I have to get myself out of the situation, but if you're in a position to help your family but you choose not to, then of course people will look at you differently." Next comment, "Okay, but what about his nephews and niece? He doesn't think their dad being evicted would impact them? Well, fuck the kids, I guess." So you gambled your rent money away when you have dependents? Oh, wait a minute. Actually, he later states, "My kids don't stay with me. I'm just pointing out this negatively impacts the kids. I have owned my mistakes, but let's not let the children suffer over one dumb mistake." Just as a quick PSA, by the way, saying that you own your mistakes doesn't scrub away any blame that you actually have in the situation. Your brother isn't negatively impacting your kids. You did, when you gambled the rent money. And why would you even bring the kids up into this and use them as like trading tokens for like sympathy? Because they don't even stay with you. And if you actually cared this much about how it might negatively impact them, here's a fucking wild idea. Don't gamble the rent money. You did this, not your brother. Come on, man. Also, stop saying you're owning up to your mistakes because you're fucking not. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for wanting my son to have something to remember his uncle by? My brother, age 63, passed away. It wasn't unexpected. We knew for a while he was sick. H met a woman, A, 64, 20 years ago, and she had 3 different children with 2 different men, and then has 2 kids with H. While me and my 3 sisters all stayed in the Midwest, about 18 years ago, H and A moved to Philadelphia, where his stepdaughter, C, female 27, and H became huge Eagles fans. They became obsessed, went to games together, watched them together. He collected a lot of Eagles memorabilia, some of it fairly expensive. I have a son who plays football, and while they weren't super close, he still had a good relationship with his uncle. His wife calls my mom after the funeral, tells her she'd like the family to come over to the house and take whatever we wanted of his, and also to give us any photos she had. I'm thinking it would be nice to get my nephew some signed football memorabilia. We get to the house and mostly everything, if not all of the football stuff, was already claimed by his stepdaughter. I ask C, his stepdaughter, not his actual daughter, if I could have any of the football stuff. And C offers some of the useless crap like hats, Funko Pops, a fans-only parking sign, a towel. I demand something of actual value. She says no, that many of those were gifts she gave him or had been with him when they were signed. I reminded her that she wasn't actually his daughter, and it wasn't fair to my son who actually plays football. C starts crying and A got angry, screaming at me to get out and told me I wasn't allowed to have anything. My mother agrees I was absolutely in the right for what I said, but my friends are all upset at me. I'm sorry, but it's not fair. My son, his blood nephew, doesn't get what he wants. Am I the asshole? See, this feels like rage bait. It just fucking feels like it, especially with the just absolute sheer entitlement gushing from the seams. But people like this do exist. The OP has 2 additional comments which don't even need context just to show how much disdain she had for this non-biological blood-related family. She was not his kid. She was his stepdaughter. She has a real dad in prison. She may not like it, but that is her father. It doesn't matter the length of time. H had 2 kids that H and A actually turned against our family because most of us realize that blood is greater than anything else. I forgot to mention that H and A aren't even legally married. They never had a wedding. So legally, she isn't even his stepdaughter. She's just the daughter of his girlfriend. A very long-term girlfriend, I'll grant you, but H and A never actually married. We know that people like this exist who believe that, the relationship between blood families supersedes everything in life. And, yeah, here we are. The vultures show up when someone dies looking for something expensive. Oh, well, my son actually plays football, so he's entitled to this. I don't care if you guys got it while you 2 were together. You're not even related to him. You're a stepdaughter. Honestly, I'm not fucking surprised at all that most of the family on the uncle's side that passed are going no contact with this. I don't even want to say family. I was gonna compare them to a flock of vultures, but vultures at least have value. Damn. I feel like I'm doing a disservice to vultures by calling you one. Actually, just on a side note, vultures are actually super cool. Their, stomachs are so goddamn acidic and powerful that most diseases cannot survive in their stomach, which allows them to essentially be street cleaners of the natural ecosystem. So they kind of serve a really important purpose in a lot of circles of life to make sure that, plagues don't break out. Cross posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for how I handled this situation? My daughter, 24 female, is on antidepressants and lives at home rent-free while saving for her own place. She keeps her pills in the bathroom with the lid loose because it's hard to open, and since she's the only one using it, it's never been a problem. My son, 23 male, and his girlfriend, 22 female, are temporarily staying with us until their condo is ready. Their bathroom sink downstairs is small, with no counter space. So when the girlfriend wanted to dye her hair, I told her to use my daughter's bathroom, as she has a double sink with countertops, without checking with my daughter, who was home in her room. About an hour later, I overheard my son telling his girlfriend he didn't know how to break something to his sister. He finally told me his girlfriend had accidentally knocked over my daughter's pills and some fell into the sink where she was dyeing her hair. I said I'd talk to my daughter, but my son insisted. I heard him enter her room with an attitude saying, "Don't start acting like an ass, but, girlfriend, knock your pills into the sink." My daughter was furious, grabbing the remaining pills and stormed off. My son blamed her for leaving the lid loose. When she asked why they were even in her bathroom, I explained, and she got angrier, saying they could have used theirs or mine. I told her I hadn't expected this, and she needed to calm down. She called my son an asshole and shut herself in her room. I urged my son and his girlfriend to apologize to her because she should have asked to move the pills, and him because he escalated the situation. He eventually cooled down and apologized, but his girlfriend refused. My son then demanded my daughter apologize to his girlfriend. My daughter refused, saying she had nothing to be sorry for. The girlfriend chose to stay elsewhere until their condo was ready. My daughter spoke with her psychiatrist and replaced her medication. My son still insists I should make my daughter apologize. I did tell my daughter she could have reacted more calmly, but she maintains that they should have asked her to move the pills or at least approached her without assuming she'd go crazy. She also points out that she never said anything to the girlfriend, only her brother, and that I never should have let them use her bathroom in the first place. So, have I completely mishandled this? Comment from user Dr. Siegel. You're the asshole. Your daughter is living there rent-free, but that doesn't mean she isn't allowed basic respect. You should have consulted with her before allowing the girlfriend to use what is normally her own bathroom. Even if you were going to pull the "my house, my rules," you should have at least given her the opportunity to remove anything she didn't want to get damaged. Hair dye is messy as fuck. You should also be standing up for your daughter. She literally did nothing wrong. Her brother came in and immediately accused her before delivering the news, with no apology. Where is the accountability? You told your daughter she should have acted more calmly? Are you serious? She was the victim of 2 rounds of negligence and verbally attacked for it. I'm starting to see why she's on antidepressants. That comment summed it up pretty much perfectly. But also, it's pretty clear the mom has a favorite. Like, imagine if your sibling or a friend walked into your room and opened the conversation with, "Now don't act like an ass," but the medication that you need to function on a day-to-day basis was just knocked into the sink. And then after hearing that, you're told that you should have reacted more calmly. I was also going to ask why it was even necessary for OP to bring up the fact that her daughter pays rent. Then I found this comment from Emma Cobbs that states, "Why mention she doesn't pay rent? Is it to justify your son's behavior somehow, even unconsciously?" I have to say, if he's been speaking to her like that his whole life, 1, he learned it somewhere and never learned it wasn't okay, and 2, it has affected her. In your last paragraph, your daughter is absolutely right. Speaking from the experience of being the only medicated person in a family of people who should have been, I feel for her. And yeah, I'm now left in the position after reading this comment and my previous question of why bring the rent up of, I do wonder if this was some kind of unconscious mention to try and justify the son's actions here, or to maybe even justify OP's inaction in this case. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for telling my daughter she indulges her cat too much and needs to grow up for her own sake? My daughter, 28 female, lives in a very small apartment in town with her boyfriend because she is still a student, so clutter piles up quickly in a small space. I believe that living in a nice and clean environment is crucial for productivity and mental health. Her place isn't dirty, but the way she appeases her cat are chaotic and lead to a messy home. Last time I was there, I told her she needs to start keeping a grown-up home because she isn't a child and she isn't living in a dorm anymore. She needs to be more careful about tidying because she's aiming for a professional degree, and I think that living well now is preparation for that. Examples of the clutter are, she constantly has an old ratty blanket laying unfolded on her couch because the cat likes to nap there, and another in the corner of her bedroom for the same reason. There is a visible cat carrier with pillows and blankets in her main living space because the cat likes it. She has a little cat bed on her kitchen table and says the sun comes in there, and of course, the cat likes it. There's a little cat nest in a shelf of every closet of the apartment, which limits storage space. There are cat toys on the floor, she keeps cat litter in a storage closet, and so the door is constantly open, and it looks messy and you can see the litter. There are cat food dishes in multiple rooms, and pieces of food are always littered around it and need sweeping. She even nailed up a cat shelf on the wall, which is just an ugly carpeted piece of wood. Overall, it looks like the cat's apartment rather than hers. She leaves water dishes in weird places like on the side tables and under desks, which looks odd and messy. I know the cat sleeps in her bed with her, so leaving all these extra things around, because the cat likes it, looks really messy and is unnecessary. She's the pet owner, and she can decide where the cat sleeps. Yeah. She can decide where the cat sleeps. She just refuses to, and lives like this all the time. I have also had pets before, and understand she loves the cat and wants it to be happy, but I never had an animal take over my home this way. She treats it like a roommate. I wasn't even angry when I brought it up, just trying to get her to see how she could live in a nicer environment if she dialed back on the cat space. I said she should try to have a more adult home, and focus on making it look nice and cozy for herself, not just living around an animal so she could prepare for professional life. She basically laughed and said, "Thanks for the idea, but she won't take it," and said I'm being a bit of an asshole. She won't even consider it for a minute. I think she's being immature, and while she isn't being mean, I don't think it makes me an asshole to try to guide her to a more adult way of living. But she sure does. Was I being an ass? So, sounds like she still keeps a generally clean apartment beyond just, furnishings for the cat to make it comfortable. And if she loves the cat, then so be it. Maybe she's also trying to make do with the amount of space that she has. Like, it doesn't sound like there's rotting food sitting around or unclean cat waste, so I don't see the massive deal here. Especially because you're standing from the standpoint that you're not cozy. You think that your decisions, your choices, would be best for her. It would make the house more cozy for her, based upon what you feel. Maybe you're wrong. Maybe she finds the house to be cozy when the cat's also happy, because she loves the cat. Also, just out of curiosity, how many jobs have you guys had where your employer comes into your home to inspect it to make sure that you're living up to their standards? Because that's what it sounds like the mom's expecting here. Like, I know the mom doesn't actually believe that, but that's how she's acting with some of the comments that she's making about having a clean and tidy house is preparation for a professional life. But it sounds like the house is mostly put together minus the few cat stuff thrown about. And that's from the mom's own admission. The mom said her place isn't dirty, just chaotic from the cat. I am left with the impression that the mother can't comprehend the idea that other people have different definitions of cozy or find different things to be relaxing. That's just how this reads and how this feels. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Would I be the asshole if I hid my girlfriend's contact lenses again? I, 24 male, live with my girlfriend Lena, 23 female. She's doing her master's right now, which means she has classes most mornings/early afternoons, usually 8 to 1 or 2. And then she works from home most evenings, like 5 to 9. I work from home full time, so I see her routine every day. The thing is, her eyes are constantly suffering. She wears contacts to class, and by the time she comes home, they've made her eyes super red and irritated. Then, when she switches to her glasses, they calm down. But the second she has a video call in the evening, she takes the glasses off because she feels self-conscious in them. Within half an hour, her eyes are itchy and irritated again, and sometimes she ends up with migraines from looking at a screen without glasses. She also gets allergies a lot, so she wakes up with watery eyes. She insists on it because she doesn't like how she looks in glasses. She refuses to leave the house with her glasses on. For the record, she's gorgeous, glasses or not. She's the prettiest girl. I don't think she realizes how bad it is. Like, she thinks itchy eyes are normal. I'm honestly worried she'll scratch a cornea. She has eye drops that help, but normally I have to really bully her into using them because they leave a bad taste in her mouth. On Friday, her eyes were already itchy, but she didn't have any evening calls, so they settled down. That night we had dinner plans, and while she was rushing to get ready, her eyes were itchy from the eyeliner she uses, and I knew the second she put her contacts in, it would get worse. So I hid them. She grabbed her glasses before we left, but didn't put them on while we were out, apart from to read the menu. I know it was sneaky, but I swear it was in her best interest. Her eyes need a break, and I feel like if I don't intervene, she'll just keep hurting herself. Would I be the asshole if I did this again? Like, not every week, but like on the occasion, when her eyes are really bad. I'm not really sure what else I can do to help her. So, I've been thinking about this one, and trying to kind of put together what I think on it, because I don't think OP is a villain. I just think he's paving the road to hell with good intentions. He sees his partner in pain, he wants to help. But, you've got to ask yourself this. If what you're doing is what you feel to be 100% the right choice, then why do you have to hide it? Why are you sneaking around? Is it because of how she might react? Is it because you know that you shouldn't be making decisions about her autonomy? If she's willing to put up with the itchy eyes, then let her. But if it really does concern you, have a conversation with her. Let her know that it's worrying you that she's putting herself through this, and perhaps she should look into different eye contacts or eye drops or something along those lines so the irritations decrease. She very clearly has some self-image problems, and you going about and hiding her contacts isn't going to help with this. If anything, it might cause paranoia that she's now worried that she lost her contacts and needs to buy more, or might go crazy because she knows she set them there, so where the hell are they? If you do care this much, and this isn't some kind of weird control power play, then you should probably approach this from the conversation of genuine concern and wanting to get her proper help to make sure that her allergies are in check, to make sure that her contacts aren't irritating her eyes anymore. That's what you should be doing. Not taking away her decisions from her, not making decisions for her, and certainly not stripping away one of the tools that allows her to actually see. This is a massive overstep, and this is her decision to make. But if you really do care, then you should have this conversation with her. Have her schedule an appointment with her optometrist. I feel like this is a good intentions are paving the road to hell, and in the end, she's an adult, and this is her decision to make. I understand the frustration of wanting your partner to feel better and not be in pain, but this is not the way to go about this. Cross post from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole? My girlfriend thinks I insulted her by saying she do copy-paste in her job. Yesterday, me, 30, and my girlfriend, 28, happened to be in the same room while she was working from home. Part of my girlfriend's job requires her to generate some files via a script and transfer it to some other location. I've noticed it once in a while that she does run some script in terminal and then copies the generated file to another location manually. So yesterday, as a banter, I told her, "You're only doing copy and paste. This can be automated." I don't remember the exact words, but it was something along these lines. She took it as an insult and gave back some to me saying "You don't know/understand what I do." Then I repeated the same thing about copy-paste. This goes on a couple of times, and she ends the conversation by saying to me a word in our native language that would translate to stupid or illiterate. Now she's saying I insulted her first, so I should apologize. I'm saying I didn't mean to demean her work, and she told me stupid/illiterate, so she should apologize. Am I the asshole? See, the big selling point here is the fact that you know that she took it as an insult, and then you repeated it. Not really sure what you're expecting to happen after that one, bud. Comment from Judgy McJudgyPants, who went and found one of OP's comments. Copy-paste is just 1% of her job, which if someone has to do over and over again, it adds up. Her work is research-orientated and involves lots of experiments. So by eliminating this repetitive task, it would help her focus on more important things. But from all the comments so far, I got that 1, it doesn't matter where I was coming from, but what matters is how I was perceived. And 2, saying that once was okay, but repeating it was not okay. 3, instead of starting as banter, I should have approached it in a more helpful way. But in my defense, we're not office colleagues. We both give each other a hard time on other topics. But again, it will lead to point 2. Which is totally backtracking, in my opinion. Also, with that context, it really doesn't help his point at all. Because, For starters, if it's 1% of her job, and she responds with, "You have no idea what I do," then maybe just, believe her on that one. I'm kind of left to believe from what you've described that if it was something that could be automated, they probably would have already automated it by now. Or perhaps they've done the cost-benefit and realized the time it would take to build the automation would be the same time it would take to actually just do the task. Either way, dude, no matter what, you said something, she took it as an insult, and you doubled down. And you're refusing to apologize for that. I don't really know what else to say to you beyond that of just, do you not see the problem here? Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code ODDS at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code ODDS directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Pear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup, and you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code ODDS at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.